What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XCN Onyxcoin today at the request of Babu. There's actually a few of you that requested this coin, but Babu, you're the one that requested it first, so you get the shout out. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. Let's get started. So we're looking at this on the monthly because most of the time when I look at this, I'm looking at it on the weekly, I'm looking at it on the daily, and the look that we have on the monthly, I just feel like it's a little bit different, right? Like it doesn't have these in-between movements, which I normally do incorporate in my analysis. But on the monthly, I found that from a low point to a high point here, we actually went right to the expected zone, right to the golden ratio zone between the 618, 69, and found support there. And we're having quite the recovery this month so far with 14 days, 21 hours left, essentially 15 days left. Of course, the monthly RSI is bearish as hell, but it's because it did nothing but dump because it came out literally at the end of the bull market. Actually midway through the bear market, to be completely fair. And I think this look just gives it a bit of a different kind of appearance in the sense that this is actually a very normal area to find a low after this run up. I've been looking at it like we've had one run up, two run ups. This might be our third, but perhaps this whole move was one run up and we're about to have our second. And in which case, from a high point to a low point, our extended area that we could expect to see on this next move up would be at around 0.006 to about 1 cent. Now we're at about $0.00162 right now. So a move all the way up to 1 cent wouldn't quite be from this price, wouldn't quite be a 10x, but you know, it would be, I guess, a little bit less than a 10x, right? Something like a 6x, a little bit over a 6x. And that could be the maximum extended expected area that we could see. It could go higher, absolutely it could go higher. But this could take place over the course of, basing it off the same amount of time that we saw here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. By the end of the year, XCN could genuinely be at 1 cent or higher. There's no reason it has to stop at the 1618, 1272 zone. It can go beyond that. But it's just something I think worth noting, and it might not go as high as 1 cent. Perhaps it does stop at the 1272 or, a little bit above that, but that's still almost a 4x to just over a 4.5x right there. Potentially as high as a 6x or more could be on the table. So by the end of this year, I think that's really solid returns in a very short amount of time for this thing. Let's see, looking at it on a weekly, you bounced right off your oversold zone in the RSI. You didn't even hit it. Actually, you didn't even hit the oversold zone. You did have, or so far you do have a wick to the upside. You have given some of that price action back, and that's okay. That happens. This thing, as it moves up, that's just kind of the name of the game with it, right? Like you get these wicks to the upside, but you still move up. It likes to toy with you, right? It definitely likes to toy with you, and then it gets real serious once it decides to. So I like the way the daily RSI looks right now. You do have hidden bearish divergence, but with the overall climate of the market, I would expect that this gets resolved and you do continue to build. Volume's building as you're moving out of this. This is the most volume that we've seen like back to back on a daily basis, I guess since the end of May, so about 2 months ago. But it's definitely increasing, and I think that validates. It's part of what would validate that we have found our low, beyond the fact that from a low to a high that we did bounce off the 61869 area. If we look at the more relative high to low here, the next primary target area that I would look for is about 0.002, somewhere around there. We absolutely could move beyond that, but it is pretty normal to find resistance in and around this 382 area, pull back to your 236 and then move up. However, we could just continue to move up to our 61869 area, pull back from there, and then move up, however low we go. But higher prices await. I definitely think higher prices await. And if we're looking at this on a 4-hour, the RSI actually looks very bullish, very, very bullish. We do have some bearish divergence building, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You got lower lows with higher lows. It's not a bad look in itself, but rejecting the overbought zone, perhaps you do see this move down a little bit, but I don't think you'll get a lower low. I think you'll get some kind of higher low here at about 0.00156 to 0.0016, somewhere in there, and we're already basically in that area. So anybody looking to load up on XCN before it takes off, it's got my vote of confidence for a buy here, but not financial advice. None of it's financial advice. You do what you want, right? You found a low right here at your relative low, which also happened to be at previous areas of resistance. I think it's a perfect area to find significance on. And we've been moving down this whole time without a lot of volume, where when we were moving up, we had a lot. So I would expect when volume comes back in, we will move up essentially like that. It's going to be no problem, right, to get to this next high point. So perhaps it happens, perhaps it does take the full 5 months like it did last time. Perhaps it takes a lot less time than that. It doesn't need a full 5 months, but I think based off this move from a low to a high, we have that exact amount of time left in the year. So I feel very safe in calling for a 1 cent price or higher by the end of this year. I do feel safe in saying that. If not, definitely above half a cent, something that would be close to a 4x or more. And who knows, man, I might be not giving this thing the credit it deserves. Perhaps we need to look at the deeper extensions. For example, this high right here, this closing weekly high, came in at the 1886. The 2272 is up here. It's not really anywhere, based on this price, but right above the 200. That is an area that we've seen a few cryptos interact with. And if we look at this from the current price to those areas, I mean, by the end of the year, maybe we see closer to like an 8x, a 9x. Maybe we do actually get that 10, 11x as well by the end of the year. So I'm expecting big things for XCN nonetheless. Got a lot of volume down here, definitely a lot of interest on these pumps. Hell of a move down, but again, this was coming out in the bear cycle. Any coin that comes out in the bear cycle looks like this. That does not absolve it from seeing phenomenal growth. A lot of people ask me, what about the coins that will be released daily? Because a lot of these coins, actually, if we go, let's go to CoinGecko here, type in XCN. And I don't know why, but Discord isn't working. It's working on my phone, but it's like it won't work on desktop for some reason. There's a lot of coins that are circulating, and there's a lot of coins that are not circulating. The fully diluted supply isn't quite double, but it's definitely a lot higher than it is right now. Even if we got fully diluted, that's still a low market cap. But a lot of people are wondering about what happens with the supply. And they hear that I think it's like 100 million or something coins are supposed to get released each day. That's not supposed to happen until April. And a lot of people that ask that question, you've shown your hand that you're doing exactly what I recommend against everybody do whenever they invest in a coin. Is you're investing in a coin or looking to invest in a coin without reading the white paper. You would know that these coins aren't going to be released until April, that they're not going to start doing that emission schedule until April if you read the white paper. So everybody or anybody who's interested in buying this coin, you don't have to remember everything. You don't have to take notes. Take notes if you want to, but read the white paper. You might not understand everything. I certainly don't, right? I read a ton of white papers, and some stuff goes right over my head, but I try to understand as much as I can. If I don't understand things, I try to look it up, and if it's just beyond me, it's beyond me. A lot of these things, especially when it comes to finance, or if it comes to like deeper protocols and programming, and functions of like mathematics. I'm a mathematical mind. I took calculus in college. I did differential of equations, but it's not. It's still beyond me at some points, right? It's hard to digest. So even if it's hard to digest, there are basic things, right, like the tokenomics that I think everybody should be aware of. In the white papers, right? Definitely read the white papers. If a coin doesn't have the white paper, you're off the hook. But even then, should you be investing in coins that aren't transparent with their tokenomics and plans? There are plenty of coins that don't have tokenomics available to the public that are good, but there's plenty that do and that are good as well. I feel more comfortable if I know the tokenomics. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. That's all I got to say. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I do think XCN not only has the capability to see a 10x by the end of this year, a 4x by the end of this year, somewhere in between, maybe an 11x even, right? But it absolutely has the capabilities of seeing new all-time highs by the end of the cycle. I do full-heartedly expect that just as fast as we came down, we will probably go up as well. And I'm kind of curious right now while I'm saying that. From a high point to a low point here, that took us 15 months. I'm expecting the end of the cycle to kind of come in around late 2025. So, 15 months literally puts us in October, which I'm expecting. So I think we have more than enough time to see this thing recover and come to new all-time highs, the minimum target of which would give it a 26x from its current price, potentially even a 100 and something x, or even beyond that. The market cap would check out for that. But it just depends on how popular it gets, what the use case is. Coins like this, I don't know if this exact coin will do this, but coins like this will literally make credit scores obsolete. Like if you ever go to a bank and you're trying to get a loan, you know, that's kind of what credit scores are essential for, right? Is getting loans to bringing on debt. You don't need a credit score to get a loan to lend or borrow money through the Onyxcoin ecosystem. You don't. You just have to put up collateral, you know, and that's something that the banks have on coins like this. You don't have to put up collateral with personal loans at a bank, but you know, depending on how large of an amount you're trying to get, personal loans can only go so high. This thing, it doesn't have a limit as long as you have the collateral to back it up. And it's a little bit different because you'd have to put up cryptocurrencies, which are volatile. It's a different game in itself. But as things get more refined, the main point that I'm trying to say is coins like this, probably not this exact coin, maybe this exact coin, but coins like this, DeFi coins that are used for lending and borrowing, they will make credit scores and banks essentially obsolete. And with that, we will see a new kind of rate of interest that banks will have to promote lower interest rates to kind of stay in competition with things like this, right? Anyways, that's my own theory. That's not fact. That's an opinion, as is most of this. But up. That's all I got to say. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one.